How can movie theaters fill more seats again? This is a story that was from I believe the Hollywood Reporter. Badger, you have the notes. Give it to us.
How can movie theaters fill more seats again? Cinema attendance remains stuck at 64% of pre-pandemic levels. And Bain & Co.'s new report warns that theaters face an existential threat unless studios and exhibitors rethink what going to the movies means. While streaming spending has surged over a decade, box office revenue has slid, and rising concession stands have only heightened the sense that the theaters are expensive for what they offer. Audiences haven't abandoned theaters. They need a more compelling reason to go. The pandemic accelerated every negative trend. Release slates shrank, habits shifted, and digital platforms gained ground. Even though half of surveyed consumers wish they attended more in-person events, that desire hasn't translated into theater traffic. Major studios are still releasing about 20% fewer wide releases than before COVID. Bain describes the current media landscape as the flooded era, a world where drowning in short-form, interactive, digital content where anyone can compete, but not everyone can compete profitably. Theaters, however, still hold a unique edge: immersion, spectacle, and a shared experience. What theaters must do? So, 1, premiumize the experience. Bain argues that cinema must be reframed as a premium event-level outing, rivaling concerts or live shows. That means better auditoriums, elevated service, and personalization that can't be recreated at home. Seeing a movie in theaters is an event, a destination. 2, build community. Community is a major draw that exhibitors underutilize. Bain points to film clubs, themed events, director Q&As, and social spaces as critical tools independent cinemas already use. Social media plays heavily into this. 64% of the U.S. entertainment attendees share their experiences online. That's free marketing if cinemas lean into it. And then lastly, 3, personalization and data partnerships. Theaters should use targeted data to enhance loyalty programs, improve recommendations, and tailor outreach, turning 69. The movie-going experience into something bespoke. And now 4, lastly, embrace new content in a flood of entertainment. Franchises still dominate, but novelty is what sparks cultural moments. Concert films, live sports, innovative originals, and new formats are increasingly essential in drawing crowds. The winning companies will invest in premium, personalized offerings that can't be replicated at home.
Yeah. What do we think of all of this? I think they've kind of been doing this. Like, for example, the theater chain Alamo Drafthouse. Every seat is a luxury seat. You can recline. There's no refreshment stand at a draft house. They bring it to use. There's a menu at your seat. You can order an old fashioned and a popcorn. Draft houses are great, and they're mostly full because there are fewer seats. But what do we think of these suggestions? As
I think it's all lost, dude. I'm saying that as somebody who, again, I'm not trying to be black-pilled here, but I'm telling you right now, I'm in Colorado. You know, I'm in Denver. I went to see Wicked on a Friday night at 6 p.m. The theater was empty. Not my screening. I mean, the whole movie theater was empty on a Friday at 6 p.m. So the rest of here's the thing. I think and now that I'm here, it's like I understand it. We gauge things by California standards. The rest of the country doesn't give a fuck. Okay, they just don't anymore. I was talking to some friends. We were hanging out the other night, and we're talking about movies, and they literally told me like, "Hey, you know, we love movies, but you know, we're not going to pay $25 to go see some movie we might or might not like. You know, we'll just wait because everyone has like a decked out basement. Everyone has like a decked out, you know, movie room at their house. They'll just wait those couple of weeks to watch it. They don't care. They're not going to spend the money. So I'm not trying to just be negative when I say the theaters are in trouble. I mean, they're really in trouble, man, because the rest of the country doesn't really care outside of California.
To Dante's point, that first point, premiumize the experience. To me, it's not the theater that needs to be a premium experience. The movie needs to be a premium experience.
Yeah.
You know, if you're going to spend $25 on a movie, that movie better be worth $25. And unfortunately, there haven't been that many. Zootopia. I mean, that's a movie where parents are going to spend the extra bucks to take their kids and see it because that's the event. You know, it's for the kids. Wicked 2. Nowhere near the experience of the first movie, and it's not worth $25. I mean, that's the kind of the way I approach it is just how much money am I going to be worth? How much money do I want to spend on this movie, or otherwise I'm going to wait till it comes out on streaming. Doesn't matter what the theater I see it in. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, the quality of movies and storytelling has gone down while the price of movies have gone up, and people just aren't willing to spend money like that as well. You know, and then the economy hasn't been very good. You know, the past few years since COVID, it's struggled to get back to where it was. So, so when you have that quality going down, price going up, people, you know, can't really afford to do extra things. Movies are supposed to be, you know, working class entertainment, and it kind of feels like it's no longer that. Like even I'm kind of picking and choosing what to go and see at theaters. And then you also have streaming, right? So where like the window of however long your movie is going to be in theaters, or well, are you going to go, or are you just going to wait to watch it at home? You know, you have that short time of window that the movie is in theaters. Do you want to go and watch it and pay the extra money, or do you want to just stay home and maybe pay like the $20 to watch it at home from the comfortable of your, you know, from the comfortability of your own couch with your own snacks? You know, like it's just a lot of things that are going against people going to movie theaters. There's so much against it. There's no reason for people to go.
It's an all hands on deck situation. The theaters need to, what was just said in the chat, they need to actually usher and tell people to shut the fuck up and get off your phones so that when you go there, you're not disturbed. And then on the movie side, you got to start making movies under budget so the profit range is easier to get to. And this is why I want Paramount, because they're going to up it to 30, which you go, that's way too many. You go like, well, if they Costco hot dog it, if they lost leader for a while and they release under budget good movies that people like, you know, there's been a couple of good movies we've seen. I wish I had seen that in theater. They're going to have to lose for a while to get people's faith back in going to the movie. And so everyone has to do this in conjunction. If you want theatric movies to say, otherwise just sell it to fucking Netflix and we'll watch streaming for the rest of our lives.
Yeah.
Like,
the second half of the article. The second half of the article is about this communal experience, which I agree with. The best movies, the movies that made money, are the ones that people came together and engaged with. Barbie, people dressing up as Barbie, Minecraft. You know, those are the movies that theaters need to fill their seats, because their seats will get filled. K-pop Demon Hunter, no advertising, but it had an existing community and they came out.
Well, see, those are movies targeted at specific groups of people, and that's just not what Hollywood is making right now. You know, they want to make different stories, and like the Barbie movie was a movie for girls and women, about women experiences, and the women showed up to it. It was, you know, a whole thing where people dressed in pink and went to the movies and watched Barbie. It was a movie targeted specifically towards that core audience of women. Minecraft is for young men, and there aren't very many movies made for young men anymore, you know, and people love the Minecraft game. It's been something that people have been wanting, and you got a character, even though I don't agree with casting, but whatever, a character like Jack Black, who a lot of these young people really, really love as Steve, and they went and watched it and they loved it, and, you know, made it a whole big thing for them. So like all of these event films are targeted at specific groups of people, and when you make movies like that, people will show up. But unfortunately, like, you know, you see with Star Wars, they've wanted to change it. They wanted to change it, and you lost that core audience.
You know, there's a guy, Ted Hope, who's an indie producer, and he flies the flag of indie film, which is great. He's on Substack. I recommend people to follow him.
I follow him for years. He's a great guy.
He said, which I really agree, I think, you know, obviously we're all battling this TV that we all have in our back pocket, right? But he said what would be a great idea is if you price the movie based on some sort of metric of the budget of that movie. So for instance, like a Thelma, maybe that is not $15 ticket. Maybe that's an $8 ticket or a $5 ticket. Or there's another great film I saw, a really independent film. It's pretty good, called 40 Acres, I believe. I enjoyed it for what it was. And I thought, oh, those films could have had even bigger box office if you just, had them in the theater longer, but with a smaller ticket price. And I think that's the way to go, is a tiered ticket price, so that, sure, you want to see the IMAX Dune Part 3, you're going to pay the $25, whatever. But then remember those little independent theaters that you would go to during the day sometimes, and there'd be like your grandparents' age people there, and they were right next to that like little Chinese restaurant or whatever. And you'd go to that theater and you'd have a great meal. Now it's this amusement park all-inclusive thing where you're paying $30 and then you have to pay another $20 for some alcohol, some popcorn, whatever. And even if you're an A-list member, you still end up spending a good chunk of money. And so I think I think everything you said, but I think realistically, you have to look at how much people are spending for a ticket for a certain movie. And if you are only spending $5 for a movie, I will go check out Thelma. I had no idea what it was. It was a pleasant surprise. 40 Acres was a pleasant surprise. I'm willing to lose $5 on something, and then the movies will come, because then people will make other movies that are more personal and smaller, right? Tell a intimate story that I relate to more. I don't know if you've talked about it yet, like what Supergirl's going through. I'm sure it's going to be a great film. I hope it's successful, but it's not a movie that I am particularly attracted or interested in seeing, just because I don't really, not that the movies have to relate to it, but I want something in the movie that touches me on an emotional level that feels authentic in some way.
And on this point, a friend of mine told me that a couple of weeks ago, she went to see the Foo Fighters for $50, right? $50. Right. Movie tickets are $25. She got to go see a whole ass concert with an opening act, right? For $50, for $25 more, right? So this is the experiences we're talking about here, man. And I think you're right. There needs to be a tier system where certain movies are lower or cheaper. Or how about if a movie's been out for 2 or 3 weeks or 2 weeks, you start dropping the price on it a little bit, right? So that way people will still go to the theater. Another problem though is there's just better TV out there right now, right? There's just better TV, man. Like, honestly, I haven't been excited for a movie in forever. I was so excited to watch Welcome to Derry last night, to watch the finale.
I want to see it in the theater, though. That's what I'm saying.
But that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's just there's better TV, and movies aren't good, and it's more expensive. So they're fighting a real losing battle unless they can figure out whatever that needs to be figured out. And at this point, honestly, I don't even know what that is. Like we have all these suggestions. I still don't know if that'll fix the problem.
It's interesting because sorry to jump in. Tarantino once said, which I agree that you could never make a Django Unchained as a series. Like you could make it as a series, but it wouldn't have the intensity of that 2 hour. So I think someone here was talking about movies need to be better written or better made movies. I think they need to be more of an intense or a cathartic experience. I remember Die Hards or whatever the movie that you loved as a child that you didn't judge when you went in, but there was something cathartic about it, something intense. I mean, the latest Predator movie was great. Whether you liked it or not, you can have issues with it, but I thought it was on the right track of doing something. Yeah, I think that experience that's what we're missing, I think, is that experience. And when someone says, oh, well, I could just watch it at home, you can't quantify the communal experience that I think Alan or someone said. There's some collective consciousness, as woo-woo as that sound, that happens when you're in a theater of strangers that I know I've made friends in theaters.
When Captain America picked up Mjolnir in Endgame, I've never fucking heard a crowd react like that before. I watched that movie 3 times, not for the movie, but for the crowd experience of people losing their shit. You can't.
So I'm going to throw this out there. Tonight, we're going to the local theater. We're going to have an Ella McKay party. Come dressed as your favorite character from Ella McKay, and we'll have martinis and we'll have Manhattans and whatever, and have a gay old time.
Well, it doesn't have to be like a huge event to bomb people, man. I remember when me and Chris, you remember when we went to go see Am I Racist, right? The crowd was great, man. Like we were having a hilarious time, man. If you guys haven't seen that, watch Am I Racist? It's hilarious. Go watch.
Drive Away Dolls is not a great film, but when I was in that theater, and I think Chris, you were there, it was like the crowd made it a fun, campy, low budget experience. It was great. And I agree. One of your people watching this said, make movies shorter. And I cannot emphasize more.
Hour and a half.
Remember, the great noirs are like 90 minutes and then
there are very few movies. There are very few movies I've seen over 2 hours that earn that running time.